Welcome back, everybody. This Week in America and the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network. Great to have you with us on the program today. You can follow us and like us on Facebook. Very simple, facebook.com/This Week in America, facebook.com/This Week in America. As mentioned, our special guest on the program today is ShayLa Bryant. She's the author of the new book, Reflections, Journalizing the Life of Morgan Hickson Chambers, and she's with us to talk about it on This Week in America. ShayLa, welcome to the program. Pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me, Rick. I appreciate it.
I know this is your first book, and I know that it took a while before you finally got it accomplished. Let's talk a little bit about the background in getting up to this point. When did you first decide that I would really like to go back and sort of chronicle in a way my life, and we'll talk about how that fits into this. But when I decided to write a book, how long did it take to actually pull it off?
That was actually something that started probably in 2010. I was kind of going through a lot of things in my life and trying to actually figure out what my next move was going to be. I had two very hard pregnancies. One was pretty much so bad that I could have not been here right now. But I think that the driving force with that was my husband. He just said, you have a lot to say, you have a lot to share. So it took me 3 years total to complete it. And that's that's pretty much how it got started. There was a lot of storytelling that I told my husband, a lot of sharing. So he basically encouraged me to just share with people what's been going on. So yeah, it took 3 years.
Well, the book will be very helpful for people who read it. And the website, you can go to facebook.com /The Reflections series and get information on ShayLa's book, and information, of course, available at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. The book will be helpful to others because you face a number of problems. The character in the book faces a number of problems that's very relatable. How was it for you to go back and write this book? I mentioned that in a sense it's sort of your story. You pick and choose some things that you take from your life. How was it going back and reliving some of these times in your life?
Wow. Some of those experiences and for me to actually put those right in front of me again, it was kind of hard because I wanted to leave a lot of my past in the past. I didn't want to relive it. I didn't want to talk about it. Some of it I was embarrassed to share, but at the same time, had I not been able to do that, I would not be able to understand a lot of things that's going on in my present time. So it was hard. It was really hard.
So is this, as you're writing it, a process where you're actually learning something about yourself, maybe even a better understanding of yourself as you're actually going back, looking at it through a different set of eyes, so to speak?
Yes. Kind of like that phrase, you're looking into a glass house. You see one thing, but you don't really know what's going on until you actually open the door and walk through. That's what I had experienced through that whole writing process. But I think that the main title in itself, Reflections, I'm looking at myself in the mirror, but I can't believe what I'm seeing. So that was my reaction. That was my feeling. It's like I'm looking at myself in different stages of my life, and I can't believe what I saw, or I can't believe what I heard, or I can't believe what I seen. So that was the wow factor for me in that.
Yeah, and actually in the book, there are those times when you are looking and it's like, wow, I can't even believe that's me. The main character in the book I mentioned is Morgan Hickson Chambers. Tell me a little bit about her and how closely she resembles you at that stage and in growing up.
Morgan, she is, from what most of the readers that has actually gotten through with the book, Morgan is a very emotional character. She's a person who's trying to move on and get forward and not be stuck with the stigma that you came from nothing, so you'll always be nothing, or you were abused, so you're going to be an abuser, or you want to stay abused. I could say that her complexity made her very relatable in that aspect. And how she's connected to me, the things where she acted out on, being betrayed by a high school sweetheart, being portrayed by a friend that she had an inappropriate sexual encounter with, um, being to a point where she wanted to get vengeance on these people that had hurt her. Though I might have thought about it or felt it, I didn't act on it. So that's kind of like where I'm the same with Morgan. A lot of the outlandish things she had done or things that I felt when I was hurt. So that's kind of where we're the same.
Well, as she's growing up, it's a very difficult childhood, and when you see someone or someone faces that, you can probably go one of two ways. You can either sort of accept that, and this is sort of the life that I'm going to have to live because this is how I'm growing up, or you can do as Morgan did, which is say, I'm not going to be a victim. I am never going to be a victim. How
Exactly.
difficult is that to make that determination that, okay, I've experienced this life, I don't like it, and I'm not going to be a victim?
Well, you just have to make the choice. And a lot of that is staying grounded. Um, and for me personally, what has always helped me was my spiritual background from my grandmother instilling that in me at a young age. So, with everything that she had gone through in her childhood, that was actually my real experiences as a child growing up. So, what I had always learned was to not gravitate on every bit of pain in my life. I always prayed, and I've always, like I said, I've stayed grounded to my spiritual roots. But my grandmother, who I really didn't talk too much about in this first book about Morgan, um, my one grandmother, she helped me and she coached me throughout a whole lot during the tough times that I had as a child. So if it not had been for her and her guidance along the way, I could have actually been someone that is not where she is right now.
You're listening to This Week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network. Our website is thisweekinamerica.us. Our guest on the program is ShayLa Bryant. She's the author of the book Reflections, Journalizing the Life of Morgan Hickson Chambers. Information on the book, and you can order the book. All the information available at facebook.com/The Reflections Series, facebook.com, The Reflections Series, and you can log on to our website and link on it and get all of that information. You mentioned the spiritual aspect where your grandmother helped you and you went through that early in your life. I get the impression it's something that's sort of ongoing, that even in recent years you found a closeness maybe you didn't have before, and you're able to reach that spiritual side and make you a better person, and maybe gave you the momentum to actually write this book, to reach out and help other people.
Yes, I think it's very effective when you're able to get away from the pain. Um, Sometimes spirituality or whatever is not for everyone. So if a purpose of someone's life is to help others through music, through writing, through art, through whatever, then I think it's someone's responsibility to share with someone on how to get through. So considering now Morgan is a very complex individual, um, who has her good parts, her bad parts. She's very, like we said before, relatable. So if she's able to get from the bad and eventually get to the good, then she should be kind of like a model in a way
Right.
of not letting your past hold on to you so much that you're resentful to everyone around you who have hurt you, everyone who is trying to tear at you in some way. So throughout all of her adversity, she's able to overcome it in some way, shape, or form. Though it's not always the best, the best way to do it, she's gotten through it. And I think the strongest point with her is when she's able to accept and to acknowledge when she's wrong about something. It may take her a while to actually build up to say, okay, I'm sorry, but she's actually able to, acknowledge it and present the apology the best way that she can.
How difficult is it to let that go? In the book Reflections, Morgan Hickson Chambers, there are times when she feels that happiness always seems to come at a cost. There's always a price you pay for happiness. How
Yeah.
difficult is to let that go and just sort of be in the moment and enjoy what's happening to you and not looking for that cloud that you think is hanging over your head?
Well, it's not always an easy thing to let go, but you have to be willing to let it go. Like if you want to hold on to grudges, if you want to allow all of that pain to constantly consume you, then by all means hold on to it. But at some point, you have to, in order to grow as a person, you have to let go. And I think the main thing with her is trying to learn when to let go and how to let go, not only um, letting go in a bad sense or kind of like on a bad term, but letting go and obtaining peace and being able to be peaceful towards others.
A main character in the book is Morgan's sister Logan. Talk about Logan, that relationship, and Morgan is very protective of her sister.
Okay, Logan, she's actually closer to who I am. She's actually the main personality that I have. I guess you could say it's kind of like of a split sister or the twin syndrome. Morgan is the volatile sister. Logan is the more peaceful and realistically like, okay, let's just all love and sing in harmony type person, which is really who I am. Um, Logan and Morgan are 10 months. I'm sorry, they're 10 months apart due to mom having not waited to have another child. So being that they're so close in age, they've actually helped each other in so many different ways, especially through Morgan's childhood. Morgan was more abused opposed to Logan. Logan was kind of like the favorite child. Um, Logan is the voice of reason for Morgan. So she has 4 kids. She's gone through a marriage, per se, and is looking to have a family structure, whereas Morgan is kind of like in for self. She has to make a mark in her life so she can feel validated as a strong woman. Where Logan is the sister that's the nurturer and the most, like I said, reasonable and most loving.
The book is called Reflections, Journalizing the Life of Morgan Hickson Chambers, an excellent book. It's the first book written by our guest on the program, ShayLa Bryant. In talking about this, you mentioned before the image, and that's the title, and it's a great title for the book. And you've got the image in there of Morgan looking at herself in the mirror and wasn't real pleased with. In fact, it was frightening that one time she looked at herself and actually saw what was there. Did that actually happen to you in your life where suddenly you realized, wow, this is who I am, and it's really not who I want to be?
Yes, I've had that revelation plenty of times, but I think one time it was more of an impact than ever. I saw myself kind of getting out of touch with who I am, getting lost within the world. And at that point is when I decided to move from Pittsburgh to Georgia to kind of get myself together away from the familiar, um, to start anew per se. And yeah, it was something I was not happy with at all. I got married at an early age. I had my first child. Um, Pretty much feeling like that was something that I had to do. I was obligated to do that because my family has so much. I guess you can say they've had a lot of high expectations for me. Like I had to do well in school. I had to be a role model. I had to be on my best behavior. I had to not have any downfalls. And so because once I got to college, I had started finding out a little bit more about myself along the way. And by the time I actually hit into early adulthood, By the time I was maybe like 24, I was already divorced. I had 2 children. Um, I was dating people out of feeling the need of wanting to have somebody there, not really needing to be in a relationship, but kind of just a want.
Right.
Um, and there was some other things that was happening around me at the time in my early 20s. And I said, I'm a single mother now. I had 2 children, 2 daughters, and I was almost in an abusive relationship. So I said, okay, I have to leave. I have to um, care for my girls, keep them safe, keep myself safe, and start anew. So when I made that the journey from Pennsylvania to Georgia, it was the best decision that I had made.
ShayLa Bryant, our guest on the program. The book is called Reflections. The website is very simple. It's at facebook.com, easy to remember, /the Reflections series. And let's talk about the series. Obviously, Morgan has more to say. You have more to say. Are you working on the second book now?
I am working on the second book now. It's a continuance from the first one, the Reflections, Journalizing the Life of Morgan Hickson Chambers. It's basically an introduction book. You're going to learn, you learn about the main character, her past, part of the time when she was in college and right afterwards. She made a lot of decisions that weren't the best. She ends up falling in love with someone that she tried to run from, but eventually love conquers all. And from the end of the first one about Morgan, it goes into her life being a married woman, eventually becoming a mother. And she has a lot more to say, but also in the second part of the series, the readers are going to learn a lot more about the complexities of Morgan. And you want to learn a lot more about why she doesn't have the best relationship with her mother, how her grandmother is, and how she became the rock and the foundation of her life, and how she struggles trying to balance motherhood, being a wife, and still not losing who she is.
The book is very real. It's written very real, and you've talked about the R-rated language in there, the vulgar language, and that it again it's real. It's necessary. What kind of feedback are you getting from the book? I would assume that you're touching people because it is a. I said in the beginning, and it's so true. It is a relatable book. Are you getting that positive feedback?
I am. I've had a couple of readers say that they've been impacted by some of the quotes or some of the statements that Morgan has made. Prime example, there's a reader named Angela Harvin, who's she's been like she's basically said that she's been so touched by it because one section of the book where Morgan meets a college friend, her college roommate at the time was pretty much worried about her self-image, or she has to settle for a certain type of person treating her inappropriately because she's not the societal image of what a woman should be, which is, very thin, long hair, flawless skin. And so why I point out Angela Harvin's name is because she said that she can relate so well to Morgan and how she's an impact, basically saying love yourself and stop worrying about what society puts in front of you as how you should look or how you should behave. And I've been getting more feedback besides that. People can relate to the abuse. Other readers, they can relate to how hard it is trying to keep up with a standard that they can't keep up with, how they are able to relate in the pain of heartbreak, of hardship. So I've really appreciated all of this support and all the feedback and the wonderful comments. But I'm pretty sure along the way, someone will probably say, well, I didn't like it for whatever reason. But if they don't like it, that's too bad for them.
Well, then their mind and their hearts are not open where they can take a look at that, read the book and understand. And again, with the title Reflections, I think everybody faces that where suddenly you look and you're thinking, wow, is that really me? And you can accept it and think, I guess this is the way it's going to be. Or as you discuss in the book, reflections like, I don't like this and I have the power to change it.
Right. And that's basically the main point. You don't like what you see, change it. You don't like what you hear, turn the station. You know, you don't have to conform to the things that aren't comfortable for you. And you don't have to do anything to please others, because this is your life. You live the way you want to live, and you don't have to answer to anyone. Even if it's our parents, once we get a certain age, they have to accept the person that you have become. The only thing that they're supposed to do at this point is to support you and offer some guidance. But as far as anyone else, make the changes. You don't like what you see in that reflection, make your change. It's never too late to change.
ShayLa Bryant, our guest on the program. The book is called Reflections, Journalizing the Life of Morgan Hickson Chambers. It's an excellent book. The book is available across town and across the country. You can find out more information at the website. Go to facebook.com/thereflectionsseries.com or the Reflections Series. Information at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. You can go there, log in, and then log on and get all the information on the book. ShayLa, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Appreciate it very much. I really enjoyed the book and looking forward to the next book in the series, and we'll have you back to talk about it.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot.
And again, all the information available at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. You're listening to This Week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network.